Hello, so mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you are new to my channel, you are highly welcome. So, in today's tutorial, we'll be making this trendy runched sleeve dress with a back waistline using a freehand method. So, you don't need a pattern drafting to achieve this because I achieved mine without drafting any pattern. So, as you can see, the inspiration by the right, but I made some changes to mine, like the black fabric I used instead of the Ankara, and also the length of my gown. But if you want to recreate this long gown, it is still the same process. So guys, if this is a tutorial you'll be interested in, please like, comment, share, and also subscribe to this channel. Thank you. So guys, for this tutorial, I made use of 2 yards of fabric. That's why my own is short and it was not enough. But if you want to recreate that full gown, you need about 4 yards, at least 4 yards of your fabric. So you will need your lining, you will need your zipper. So for me, because I'll be replacing the center with another fabric, so I have crepe here. This is less than half a yard. So that was all what I used. So let's get right into it. So now this is my fabric here and it is folded. So I will explain how it is folded. So the first thing I did was to measure my underbust length. So whatever your underbust length is, so my own is actually 13 inches, but here I'm working with 12 inches. So whatever your underbust length is, please deduct 1 inch away from it. So deduct 1 inch away and use whatsoever you have. But don't forget, because we are using a freehand method, please you have to mark all your allowance so that you don't have a short fabric. So firstly, mark the allowance at this end here, just half inch. Then you measure your underbust length minus 1. Then you add 1 inch at the upper part for the joining. So instead of half inch for the joining at the upper part, you will be using 1 inch. This is because of the rope we'll be adding. So usually when you want to join the shoulder, you just add half, but this one you are adding 1 inch. So for the wideness of this, so I'll take you through the measurement I have here. So what I did was to measure my shoulder divided by 2, so that's 7.5. Then I want the sleeve to get to the elbow. That's without drawing, like without the drawstring. I want it to be getting to my elbow, and my elbow length is 12 inches. So just add 1 inch to that 12 inches for the hemming at that side. I hope you understand. So for the wideness of this, I first measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2, that's 7.5. Then from my shoulder to my elbow, whatever I have there, mine is 12 inches. So I measured the 12 inches. Then I added 1 inch again, because we'll be hemming the sleeve opening, we'll be hemming it, so we need another allowance. And please, we are using freehand, so we have to insert all these measurements. So now what I did was a shoulder slope again. So I just went by 1 inch just to mark my shoulder slope, just as if you are cutting a boo. Sure you understand. Then my sleeve opening, I want mine to be 8 inches, so I'm using 8 inches here. Then I added another 1 inch down here. This is for the allowance at this point. So this is for the allowance. So that's what I did. And yeah, so what I'm trying to measure is, I have my waist measurement here, and the excess I have there is even times 2. So my waist measurement divided by 4 is actually 6. So but at that point there, I have close to 18 inches there. So you should see that that's like, is more than enough. And this is because we'll be making gathers too at the waist area. So at that waist area, after you measure your your waist divided by your waist, or your underbust divided by 4, you should still have at least 10 inches extra, please. So now I've went ahead to cut this. So now for the neckline, it's time to cut the neckline. So what I did was to just measure 3¼ So I measured 3¼ here, and I'll be slanting this to the end of this fabric. So you'll see what I'll be doing very soon. So when you want to cut it, you don't stop it halfway, you cut it all the way down. See the way I am marking it. So you mark it all the way down. So when we are placing this together with the back, there will be an overlapping at this front. Please just bear that in mind, and that's why you need a lot of space, a lot of excess at the waist area. So now this is what the front will look like. So now we'll use this front to cut the back. So this is the overlapping I'm talking about, just a little overlapping here, so that your bust, your cleavage is not exposed too much. So now let's use this one to cut the back. So I've placed the front on the back, and please note that I left 1 inch at this side, as this closed part. I left 1 inch there for the zipper allowance. I left 1 inch there. So that's what I'm opening up right now. So let me use my chalk and ruler to mark this out so that it can be visible and I'm not confused. So this is the 1 inch for the zipper allowance. So now after the zipper allowance, I'll measure my neckline again. You know, for that front we use 3¼ so whatever you use for the front, just use it for the back. But for this back depth, it won't be like the way we cut the front. So what I did was to measure. I want it to be 10 inches, to be 9 inches deep. And you know, we added 1 inch. We will be joining the upper parts with 1 inch, so just add the 1 inch. So altogether like that, I'll be having 10 inches. Like I said, I want it to be 9 inches deep. And again, I'll be sewing the top parts with 1 inch. So 9 plus 1, that's 10. So the neckline should be 10 inches deep. As you can see the way I'm cutting it. So the neckline is not getting to the under bust part like the front. So this is what I have right now. So this is the upper part, and this is what it is looking like. So this is where the zipper will join this to the waist area, and that's the zipper allowance remaining at that point. So now let's go ahead and cut the waist part. So that back skiffet, let's cut it. Like I said, I'm using plain fabric for mine, and we're also cutting this on freehand. So the first line there is my starting line, then the next line is my joining allowance. You know, we are using the freehand method, so we have to be adding all the allowance as we are cutting. So now you place your tape from your under bust. My under bust that I'm working with is 12.5. So now I'll measure my half length. My normal half length is 16. That's my waist length. That's 16. So just note that. So this point here that I was about to mark should be my hip line, but I'm not marking that because the back waistline is not getting to your hip. So just keep following. So you place your tape. What I did was to, after the waistline, my half length, I went down by 2 inches. Then and again, I went down by 6 inches from the same waistline. So the first line, that first point was 2 inches away. Then this next one is 6 inches away. So this is 6 inches away. The first one is 2 inches away, while the second one is 6 inches away from the waist. So the distance, so that's what I'm working with, 6 inches away. So I'm correcting it. The first line was 7 inches, so that's the new line there. It's a 6 inches away. So don't get confused with this line. So now let's measure. So this is my under bust. This is the half length. So this next line is 2 inches away from the half length, and the other line is 6 inches away from the half length, but 4 inches away from the second line. So don't get confused. So now I'll measure my waist here. My waist divided by 4. So measure your waist divided by 4. Because I have a lot of excess here, so I'll be folding this fabric again. I'll be folding it again because I have a lot of excess here. So I'll measure my waist again divided by 4. So I'll measure my waist divided by 4 at this point. Then I will add 1 inch sewing allowance. 1 inch sewing allowance. Then at the waist area also, I'll measure the same thing. But at this hip area, this last line, you measure your hip divided by 4 and 1 inch extra. So now I will connect from the underbust straight to the half length. I should have measured it again there, but I just connected it straight. Then from that half length up to this point, you use this curve to connect it. So this is what we have right here. So this is what it's looking like. Then the next thing is now to shape the back waistline. So when you are shaping the back waistline, so that 2 inches below the waistline, that's where it will be stopping, starting, and it will be stopping at this other line. So you can see the way I'm marking this back waistline. So this is how it will look like. So this is what it will look like. Now I can now go ahead and cut what I have here. So when you are cutting, this is very important. Please add extra half inch at that point. Add extra half inch. As you can see, I did not cut directly on that line. I left a small space because that will be the allowance for the joining. That's why I don't like cutting with freehand method. Mistakes can easily happen. If it was pattern now, I would know I need to add allowance at this point. But just be careful when you are cutting so you don't cut away the allowance. So now I'm placing the front on this fabric to cut the back. So the only difference will be the zipper side. So I'll be adding 1 inch for the zipper allowance. So you cut exactly the same thing, just like this. So now this is ready. This is ready. So now the next thing to do is so now to get the length of your gown, that is the length of the gathers that you'll be attaching to the back waistline. So this is how you will get it. So you place your tape like this. So half length, the underbust rather. So the tape should be starting from the underbust just like this. Then towards this side. So what I did was to measure 1 inch joining for the side, 1 inch joining for this part here. So I will note where my tape is getting to. So locate where your tape is getting to at this side. Then from this side, calculate the length you need to calculate the remaining length you need for you to get your desired length. Sure you understand. If you are working with 45 inches long length, so from this point, calculate it up to 45 so that you can know the remaining length for the gathers. Because I'm working with a very short gown, I think I just needed about 15 inches or so to add to this. So if you are working with a long gown, your case will be different. So these are the fabric for the rope. So you should cut about 1.5 to 1 inch fabric so that you can turn it. What I did was to just sew it and turn it out. You can just create this rope any way you can create your rope, but make sure it is long enough, at least more than 25 inches or 20 inches, more than 25 inches. So now this is the gathers I'll be adding to the back waist line. So this is my gathers and this is the length I'm working with. Because my fabric is not much, that's why my gathers is this short. So what I did was to cut about times 4, yeah, about times 4 of my waist line. So I have times 4 of my waistline over there. So now this is the upper part that we cut earlier. So let me explain how the joining will be. So now before we join at the shoulder, we need to hem the sleeve opening one after the other. You know, this is now 4 pieces. You have to hem the sleeve opening one after the other. So this is how we'll be placing it. As you can see how I'm arranging the front to the back to the front, just aligning it together. It is very, very important. So these are the fronts. These are the ones for the front. So before I join them at the shoulder, I will hem the sleeve opening. So I will hem the sleeve opening. Just take note of that. So this is the sleeve opening. So this is what I'm talking about. So you fold this in. You know we added 1 inch for the hemming at this part. So just fold it. Then you hem one after the other, like one piece at a time. So after hemming them, each of them. So this is what we have. So we'll go ahead now and sew and join them at the shoulder. And you know our joining allowance is 1 inch. So you go ahead and join this shoulder together with 1 inch. 1 inch, not half inch. Oh. So after joining, I went ahead to overlock the edges. Then I ironed it open like this. As you can see the way I ironed it, I opened the seam like this because we'll be creating a channel for our rope. By the way, this is my rope. I've already turned it out, and this is what it is looking. My rope is very tiny, and I love that. So we'll be passing the rope in between. So what you can do is, if you can place the rope inside and sew, fine, or if you can just sew first before you pass the rope, anyhow you can do it. Just go ahead and create a channel at least half inch. You know we have 1 inch there, so you can just create the channel with half inch. So after creating the channel, this is what I have. So now I'll pass my rope into the opening I have there. So you pass your rope inside one after the other. So you pass two rope to one side. That is, you know, we have two opening. You do the opening to the right and to the left. I forgot to mention that. You do the opening to the right and to the left. So after passing the rope, one to the right, one to the left, this is what I have here. So this is what I have at this point. So the next thing I will do is to use my bias tape to turn this neckline, that is the back and the front together. I will just use my bias tape to turn them. So I'm starting after the zipper allowance. You know there's still zipper allowance at the back. So I'm starting after that zipper allowance. Then I'm using the elastic and the bias to turn the neckline. So after turning the neckline, this is what I have. And as you can see, the runch effect at the shoulder. So this is what it is looking like. So the upper part is, let me say, almost ready. So now this is the other part. So what I did was to notch the center of this. So let's assume you were using Ankara fabric for this parts, which I'm using black fabric for. You will need to add a lining to that part so that it can give it more structure. Because I'm using a crepe which is thicker than the Ankara, so I did not bother to add the lining. So before you fix this, you have to make gathers or ruffles at this point. So I'll still go ahead and make the ruffles first. So you make ruffles at the edge of the front, the back, for the right and the left. So after making the gathers, this is what I have. So now I'll be pinning this down. So like I said, there will be an overlapping at the front. Please take notes. There will be an overlapping at the front. So what I did was to just take it 1 inch away from the center of that black material. 1 inch away, like 1 inch away from the center, and the other one too will be 1 inch after. Is it after or away? So 1 inch after the notching. So that's what I did. So that will create an overlapping effect at the front. So you make sure you secure this with pins. Secure them with pins. So let's move over to the back. So you know the back has two. It is divided into two, the right and the left. So you also secure this. Secure it at the starting point here. So secure it at this point too. So make sure that all the gathers is inside, like it is inside this. So after sewing, this is what I have. This is what it is looking like. So make sure you confirm your waist, that it is still your waist with your allowance. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and join this from inside. This is the right side, so you join from the wrong side just to sew that part. Yeah. And for this back also, so for this back also, I will just join this part a little bit with just 1 inch joining, because so that it can be easy for me to wear it. I'll just join it together with just 1 inch at this point. So now it's time to fix my zipper. So I'll fix my zipper, and as you know that for the Ankara side at the upper part, the zipper will get there because there's zipper allowance there. So make sure you fix the zipper the right way and just go ahead and fix your zipper. So after fixing the zipper, this is what the gown is looking like. This is the progress so far, and this is what it is looking like right now. As you can see, my zipper and everything is looking neat and nice. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to fix the ruffles towards the back's waistline. So like I said, this is times 4 of my waistline. I'll go ahead and join them together and make ruffles. So after making the gathers at the waist of this, so I'll go ahead and also fix it to this gown. So I'll join it together at the end and then I'll fix it round it. So after fixing it round, this is what the gown is looking like. As you can see, the neckline, the front is overlapping, the runch effect at the shoulder. As you can see, everything is nice and fine. So in case you are making a longer version, it is still the same process. It is still the same process. Actually, I was still hard to the length of my own gown when I find the exact fabric like this Ankara. So I'll still add to the length because I can't actually wear that out. So I will add more to the length of my own. And so this is all about this tutorial. So let me know if this tutorial was helpful. If you don't understand any part of this tutorial, you can let me know in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't liked, please like this video. Drop a comment for me in the comment section. If you haven't shared this video with your friends and community, please share. And I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye.